What's going on, guys? Welcome to another Chase on Two Wheels video. In front of us, we have the Triumph 2022 Triumph Speed Triple RS that they have let us loan. This thing is due back to Triumph in a couple days, so we've had this thing for about a month now. So today, I'm going to tell you guys what it's been like to ride this thing. I've been daily riding it to work and back and, riding around with it. So today, we're going to find out, is this a motorcycle worth purchasing? Do you want to add this to your garage? And what it's been like to ride this thing for the last month in kind of an owner's review. So you guys buckle up, let's get up on this thing and let's find out, is this a good bike to live with? The answer is yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have this beautiful motorcycle in front of us. Let's get out on the road and let me tell you guys what this thing's been all about. One, I do want to start this and let you guys know of all the content that we have on the channel about the Speed Triple that you guys can check out. I will be referencing the content, but in the other videos, I go into much more detail. So we have the first ride, which is more of a first impressions video. Super good video if you're just looking up info on the bike. We have a highway test, so if you are a commuter, I highly recommend you guys going and checking out the highway test video. We also have a mountain test where I take it on some more technical roads, so depending on the type of riding you might be looking at doing on your Speed Triple if you pick one up. And finally, we have our city test where I take it to downtown Atlanta and ride it around the city and see what it's like, kind of living with it in the kind of more not fun roads that you sometimes find yourself riding on. So guys, from my time on the Speed Triple RS, the one thing that I've really noticed the most, that was the most surprising to me, is just how sporty this bike is. I know that, I feel like we all have some expectations when we think of the hyper naked class that the Speed Triple is at the tippy top of. You're looking at bikes like the Super Duke from KTM, the Ducati Street Fighter, the Yamaha MT-10, the Honda CB1000. This is the level of class that we're talking about. The thing that will surprise you the most is, one, the seating position. It's naked, right? You're upright, but it's aggressive naked. Also, and the most important thing, is the power delivery you're going to notice on this motorcycle is much more high revving than I think most of us would expect if we just sat on this and went for a ride. The 1200 triple that's in this thing really enjoys getting revved out, and that's where it's holding all of its power. It makes this bike have a very aggressive feel. I think most of you guys that get on this motorcycle and ride it are going to instantly realize that this is a sport bike hidden in a naked platform. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I'm not really here to say that. That's totally personal preference on what type of motorcycle you are looking into. Just as a brief history for you guys that don't know, I rode R6 for a very long time. I actually had multiple of them. They got stolen, blah, 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 long story short. So I was riding the Super Torques for a long time, got to the point where my back couldn't really handle it, so I had to move to the naked market. Now, I ended up purchasing a Yamaha MT-10, but that motorcycle fits me really well. It's got all the power and the fun out of it, but it gives me a riding position that I can actually handle for a longer period of time. This motorcycle is an odd mix of these two motorcycles that I've ended up, I've spent the majority of my time as a rider on. It's got the sport side like the R6 did. It's got the suspension feels solid and stable. It's got a short wheelbase that makes it like it really enjoys being leaned over, and it feels so plush. But it gives it to me in a riding position that I can actually handle. So this motorcycle is kind of like the culmination of all of the riding that I've done, and I think that's kind of cool. That's kind of the surprise nature of this motorcycle. You expect to have this low down torquey motorcycle, and then you take one ride on it and you're like, oh, this motorcycle opens up at about 8,000 RPMs. One of the things as a, you know, daily rider is this motorcycle does kind of sway towards that sporty side, which means, you know, the suspension is a little harder. Now, one of the cool things is it is fully adjustable suspension, both front and rear. You've got Öhlins everywhere, so you can customize it exactly like you want. I have found that the suspension's a little harder, and I've kind of kept it that way because I do enjoy the sporty nature of this. But when it came to the city test, you know, typically city roads have kind of a bumpier roads and stuff like that. I did find it a little just kind of hard to control because of how hard the suspension was set. The second I took it to the mountains, everything just blossomed into what I knew this motorcycle could be, and I absolutely loved it. So if I planned on purchasing this, I think what I would probably plan on doing, I would probably soften the suspension up a little bit and make it a little less aggressive. The thing I love about this bike, and I've told the guys in the shop this, I would love this motorcycle as a summer bike. We randomly have a beautiful day here in Georgia. It's, you know, mid-60s. This bike is perfect in every single way. We've had some really cold days here, and let me tell you guys, this bike is not fun. There's a lot of wind. It's hard to handle. It's not fun when it's, you know, kind of gross outside, but when the weather is perfect, I cannot think of a single other motorcycle I would rather be riding. Now let's talk about some little creature comforts, some little things I've noticed while riding the motorcycle over the period of time that I've been riding it. If you guys watched the first ride, you saw that I talked about the clutch lever. It is a little harder to pull, and it shakes a lot. It hasn't caused an issue. It's just weird. Like, watch it. It just shakes all around. Now, here's the weird thing. The clutch feels great, and I have, it's a little heavier of a clutch. It's going to take a little more of a pull. It has felt so good while using it. I've never had a problem with my fingers getting tired. I said in our city review, you know, the clutch is a little heavy. If I got stuck in traffic, I might have a hard time. My fingers might get a little tired. And I can happily tell you guys, through the time I've been riding this bike, haven't had that problem yet. I've never had the point where I've got finger fatigue from using the clutch, so I don't see this as an issue at all. Now guys, one of the issues I have had with this motorcycle is getting that little freaking green end to pop up. I don't want you to confuse the fact that the bike having a problem getting into neutral means the transmission is bad. The feedback I get from the quick shifter that this bike has is such chef's kiss mode, right? We've got an up and down quick shifter, so I can just shift down by just hitting the shifter down. The bike auto revs up and everything. The transmission on this thing is so good, but, and it is a big old but, getting into neutral is a nightmare. There's no way around it. I have no other way of saying it. This bike does not like to get into neutral. It takes going down to first, up to second, down to first, up to second. I have found that my personal favorite strategy is being in second gear. You got to make sure the clutch is pulled all the way in, like touching the handlebar, and then if you just whisper, and even then it doesn't work. There we go. You have to play this like neutral, or first, second, neutral. You have to play that game almost every time you get into neutral. If I'm gonna be honest with you guys, which that's the only way I know to be, that is so frustrating on this motorcycle. It is without a doubt the most frustrating part of this entire bike. It is so bad that I think it would honestly deter me from buying this motorcycle for myself. You are paying 21 grand to ride and own this motorcycle, and if I'm paying that much money, dude, I don't want to be frustrated by anything. All right, that's the massive negative out of the way. Let's get to some other positives. Rider mode. The bike has a ton of them, including a wet mode, road mode, sport mode, rider customizable mode. Love the modes, love the tack and how you get around to all the modes. As you guys can see, we have a fuel range thing. The thing I love about this is these bars are okay. They tell me kind of what I need to know, but I want to know like how many more miles do I have before I'm pushing this thing. So I love that you can pull this up. I feel like Triumph is probably right behind Ducati with making the best menu system for their motorcycles. The only issue I have with the screen, and it's not a huge issue, it's not like a big deal, but the screen does take a little time to go to different menus sometimes. So if I hit menu, you see how slow that was? And it kind of glitches sometimes. That's one of those things that I really, at the end of the day, after riding this thing for a month, I don't care about that. I have no problems with the screen. A little laggy, not a huge deal. Now, circling back to the rider mode, I have found that I like road mode a lot. That's my favorite mode to be in. Obviously, you can put it in things like sport mode, close the throttle, boom, we're in sport mode type situation. The Triumph's done a phenomenal job of all of their modes feel totally different. I feel like there are a lot, you know, we've got the rain mode, which is super slow, road mode, which enacts a few of the rider aids. We'll talk about those in a second. We got sport and track. So like you can dial it in as much as you want. And I love the fact that it has the customizable rider mode, because that way you can make it whatever the hell you want or need. And the most important thing that the rider modes do, other than the power delivery, is adjust the electronic rider aids, which this bike literally has everything. It's got a 6-axis IMU in it, so you're gonna have control of literally traction, ABS, cornering ABS, wheelie control. The thing I noticed in the mountain video, and you guys, we'll show a little clip of the mountain video portion that I'm talking about specifically, and I didn't mean to test this out, but when the Triumph guy dropped this bike off, he told me that the cornering traction control is next level, and I've quote-unquote gotta go try it. This guy's been riding his whole life, is far more experienced than me. I ain't about to go try cornering ABS or cornering traction control on a $21,000 motorcycle. But I did, and this is what happened. Oh, that's amazing! You can literally see the traction control light turn on, and it basically say, nah bro, you ain't ready for this power. That's that cornering traction control. The 6-axis IMU can tell that the bike's leaned over. My God, you can 100% feel it. You can feel the bike not giving you the power until it can sense that you're upright. And the second you're upright and it can sense that the traction can be put down, it gives it to you. Now guys, as you can see in that clip, this bike can be fully leaned over into a turn. You can be in whatever mode you want to be in as long as that cornering traction control is on, and you can hammer fist the throttle. You can give it all the beans, and the bike will modulate the amount of power it gives to the rear wheel in order to give you maximum acceleration and maximum traction at the same time. That means you don't have to worry about how you're riding, because the bike's gonna get you. It's gonna have your back when you're in a turn, and if you give it all that throttle and it's having to modulate the power, you're gonna see the traction control light blink up. Now, I do have a couple feelings about this, and this is what we'll wrap the video up with. I love the rider aids that this bike has. I don't think I've ever felt a motorcycle use rider aids as well as this does. They are unintrusive. They make me feel nothing but confidence. They just work incredibly well. They're also easy to modify, you know, inside the settings or whatnot. Here's my only issue with rider aids at this level. It gives you a false sense of how good of a rider you are. If I took this motorcycle, let's say this is one of the first big bikes I got, right? 1200 cc's, it's a big old boy. And let's say I got rid of this motorcycle after I have been riding on it for a while with all these aids, and then I went to my MT10. It has traction control, and it has ABS. It does not have cornering ABS. It does not have cornering traction control. So as a rider, if I train myself on a motorcycle like this, and I get used to hammer fisting the throttle in the middle of a turn, I don't have that safety net. And if I've built in my brain as a rider that I can do that, and then I try that on a bike that doesn't have the level of rider aids that this bike has, bro, you're gonna low side. You're gonna low side and slide straight through a turn, and you're going down. So it's a love-hate relationship. As a rider who has grown, I've grown up as a rider on motorcycles that didn't even have ABS. I feel like I am a far better rider, so that when I am on a motorcycle that has rider aids, I can super appreciate them when they happen. That's kind of how I feel. I love rider aids. I just wish, I hope that if you guys are riding, if you're getting a bike like this, I hope you've spent some time on a more manual motorcycle so that you can at least appreciate the rider aids that you're getting on this bike. And guys, I feel like that's most of the topics that I feel like needed to get hit on. At the end of the day, am I buying the Speed Triple? You know, what am I gonna do? I don't think I am. I think this bike is too expensive for me. Honestly, I don't get to ride my personal bikes that often just because of the, you know, privileged situation I'm in with motorcycle reviews. I would hate to buy this and it sit around my garage. I will say, if we're going to take money out of it, if we're going to take privilege out of it, is this a motorcycle worth buying? This, to me, is the best summer / spring and fall motorcycle you can buy. I think that this is the perfect motorcycle to have in your garage, as long as you have a bike also in your garage that's there for when the weather sucks, or if you got to go on the highway for an extended period of time. If you've got a motorcycle that can do that, then this is your perfect dream bike. Secondly, to a more endurance focused bike. That's what I would do. If it was ever going to be a 73-degree day, bruh, I'm on the Speed Triple RS every single time. And with that, guys, that's what I'm going to leave you with. I love the shit out of this motorcycle. I wish I could afford one. I 100% would buy it if I wasn't a cheapo. And hopefully you guys found this video interesting. If you did, make sure to like it and subscribe for more motorcycle content here on the Chase on Two Wheels channel. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later. Outro crew, put OC in your comments down below and let us know, guys, do we have the perfect summer bike right here? Thanks for getting to the end of the video. We love you guys extra longer, and we'll see you on the next one, where I won't have the Speed Triple, and I'll be very sad, but it'll be okay. There will be other bikes, maybe, probably. Okay, bye-bye.